Most guys sabotage their own progress because they have no idea how much they're consuming on a daily basis. If you're guessing with your nutrition, you're falling behind. Here's exactly how to eat for strength, endurance, and recovery. Look, you can train as hard as you want, but if you're not eating the right amount, you will not perform at your best. If you're under-eating when you don't mean to, you'll feel sluggish, have poor recovery, and lose muscle. If you're overeating, you'll gain unnecessary weight and slow yourself down. To maximize performance, we need precise fueling, not guesswork. And step number one to this is to find what we call your BMR, or your basal metabolic rate. And your BMR is simply the number of calories your body burns at rest. Meaning if you did nothing all day but lay on the couch, as long as you eat this number of calories, you will stay the exact same. So it does not include activity levels. It just covers basic functions like breathing, circulation, and digestion. And a simple way to estimate your BMR is by multiplying your weight by a factor. If you're a male on the lean side, say 15% body fat or less, you can multiply your body weight by 12. For those with higher body fat percentage, you can multiply your body weight by 11. So for example, a 180-pound athlete who has a lean build burns about 2,160 calories at rest. Step number two would be to find your total daily energy expenditure, or TDEE. And this number, your total daily energy expenditure, is your basal metabolic rate, or BMR, plus all of the calories you burn through daily activity. This includes your training, so lifting, running, rucking, and even basic daily movement like walking around the office or cleaning up the house. And the most simple way to estimate your TDEE is to use a multiplier based on how many times you train throughout the week. If you do little to no training and have low activity level throughout the day, multiply your BMR by 1.2. If you train 3 to 4 times per week and run or ruck less than 10 miles per week, multiply your BMR by 1.4 or 1.5. If you train 5 to 6 times per week and run or ruck 10 to 20 miles per week, you can multiply your BMR by 1.6 or 1.7. Now, for example, let's take that same 180-pound lean build athlete. His BMR was around 2,160 calories. If he trains 5 to 6 times per week and covers 10 to 20 miles between running and rucking, his multiplier is between 1.6 and 1.7. So multiplying his BMR by 1.6 gives him a TDEE of 3,450 calories per day. And this is why tactical athletes who fail to eat enough struggle with performance and recovery. Your body needs fuel to keep up with the workload. So if you are highly motivated and going out there and crushing high intensity sessions very regularly, but not being disciplined with your nutrition and vastly under eating, your performance will suffer. And this is what we see all the time. Now, these formulas are just designed to get you in the ballpark. If you want real data, you can get a more precise read on your specific metabolism and body composition by using something called a DEXA scan or an in-body scan. DEXA scans are going to be the most accurate, but they're also fairly expensive. If you want a relatively inexpensive option, you can use an in-body scan, which is not going to be as accurate as the DEXA, but you can pretty much go to any supplement store near you or a gym and do them for free. Just don't fall for the marketing ploys of some of the wild supplements that those guys push. You can also use apps like MyFitnessPal, which estimate these numbers based off of your age, weight, height, sex, and activity level. But at the end of the day, these tools are useful starting points. The real adjustments comes from tracking how your body responds over time. Are your strength numbers improving? Are your run and ruck times dropping? Are you recovering well between sessions? Are you seeing any weight fluctuations? Are you gaining muscle or are you losing fat? If you're underperforming and not progressing, tweak your volume or intake accordingly. Remember, we can only make progress from what we can sufficiently recover from, and making sure that we get enough food on a daily basis is crucial to ensure that we're making those adaptations. If you want to lose fat, you need to ensure that you're below your total daily energy expenditure, or in what we call a caloric deficit. But it's important to note that in a caloric deficit, it's very, very hard to gain strength unless you are somebody that is relatively on train. And if you want to gain mass, it's the opposite. You want to be above that total daily energy expenditure number, but not too high. Typically to 500 calories above your total daily energy expenditure is pretty solid. Above that, you start adding on a lot of excess fat and not seeing muscle gain significantly faster. But for most guys, hitting their total daily energy expenditure is a good starting point to focus on getting enough of what you need to sustain your performance. And now that you understand how many calories you need on a daily basis, the next step is to understand where those calories should come from. And this is where macronutrients come in. Macronutrients, or macros, are the 3 main nutrients that provide energy: protein, carbohydrates, and fats. And each one serves a different purpose. So finding the right balance is crucial for performance, recovery, and overall health. First, protein. Protein is essential for muscle repair, recovery, and maintaining lean mass. If you're training hard, your body is constantly breaking down muscle tissue, creating little micro tears, and protein is what rebuilds it. For optimal performance and recovery, aim for about 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight per day. So for that same 180-pound athlete, that means getting 180 grams of protein per day. And the majority of our protein should come from high quality sources such as lean meats, eggs, Greek yogurts, and then we can supplement with things like whey protein powder. Next is carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are your main source of energy for high intensity efforts like running, rucking, or lifting. Without enough, you will feel sluggish, you'll not recover well, and your performance will suffer. Carbohydrates get processed into something called glycogen. Glycogen is a primary fuel source for high intensity effort. So if you want to go carnivore or low carbohydrate, expect, especially after those glycogen stores are depleted after a week or two, that these high intensity efforts will suffer. And to ensure that we're getting enough carbohydrates, especially if we're running 10 to 20 miles per week, we want to be getting around 40 to 50% carbohydrates. So for that same 180-pound athlete eating 3,450 calories per day, that means getting about 345 upwards of 400 grams of carbohydrates per day. Obviously, depending on the activity level and the intensity of the training. Quality sources of carbohydrates are things like sweet potatoes, jasmine rice, vegetables, fruits, even honey, which is my go-to prior to training. And to maximize performance, time your carbohydrates around your training. So before training, we want to eat fast digesting carbohydrates like honey that gets processed into that glycogen very quickly. And then after training, we can pair our carbohydrates with proteins to both replenish those glycogen stores that we depleted throughout that session and support muscle recovery. And then finally, we have fats. Fats play a very important role for hormone production, joint health, and cognitive function. And we typically want to be in the range of 20 to 30% fat. So for that 180-pound athlete eating 3,450 calories per day, they will be in the range of 77 to 115 grams of fats per day. And some healthy fats are things like avocado oil, olive oil, butter, etc. And it's important to note that fats are more calorie dense than both proteins and carbohydrates. So while they're essential, portion control is necessary, especially if you're somebody that is wanting to lose fat and be in that caloric deficit. Now, if you got anything from this video, it's to stop guessing with your nutrition. If you are serious about getting your performance to elite levels, driving down your run times, driving up your strength, getting your body composition where you're proud of it being, then I challenge you to prioritize your nutrition just as much as the training itself. First, find your BMR, calculate your total daily energy expenditure, plan your meals out, track what you're consuming on a daily basis, and then track your performance and your body composition metrics and adjust as needed. If you have no idea where to start, I put together a sample meal plan inside of our free training ebook. To download that, check the description down below. And with that, appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you in the next one.